As some of you know, I have written a book that's hopefully going to be published around about June this year, and I'd like to read you a chapter. The book is called I'm Sorry, I Have Autism, and it's not an apology in the title, but actually it's a reflection of how society misunderstands people who have autism, and more often than not, you do find that you have to apologise for certain ways that you behave, think or feel. I'll read the introduction to you now. Speaking on the art of autism, Danny Bowman said, "English is my second language. Autism is my first." This beautifully illustrates the contrast between how a neurotypical, that is one who does not have autism, thinks, acts and sees the world, and how somebody with autism does. Our world is completely, totally and utterly different. Think of it like this. You are standing on a mountaintop, viewing a beautiful landscape rich with luscious rolling grass, forests, lakes, and in the distance you see the stunning snow-capped mountains. You gather your friends around you and they see the same thing. You can all enjoy this wondrous sight together, all sharing a singular set of emotions, awe, wonderment and appreciation. Except you have one friend who has autism. He comes along and he sees the railing that is in front of you. He sees the railing and nothing else. Why is this railing here? He asks himself. Did someone once fall off? How did it get here? How long did it take to create? Why did they choose this colour? Despite the blatantly obvious views set out before him, the autistic person does not see it. He sees only the railing. He becomes lost in this world and simply cannot see outside of it. "Why aren't you looking at the amazing view? We're all enjoying it," his friends say. But this view presents no interest to him. He is only interested in the railing. Now apply that situation to many scenarios in life and you may begin to understand the way an autistic mind differs from that of a neurotypical. This cacophony of thoughts inside an autistic mind is one of the primary reasons we find integration into societal norms so difficult. It's why socializing, interacting with fellow humans and communicating our feelings can often feel almost impossible at times. Albert Einstein once said, "Understanding of our fellow human beings becomes fruitful only when it is sustained by sympathetic feelings in joy and sorrow." Being able to sympathize with someone who makes no sense to you at all is no mean feat, and it is why all supportive partners and family of people who have autism deserve the highest praise indeed. Oft they will accept that understanding is simply not possible, but to be heard and an attempt to understand can most times be enough for us. When I was 7, I had a teacher named Miss Clark. She is the only teacher whose name I remember from school. School was a traumatic part of my life, treacherous in fact. Those years of my life were deeply entrenched in sadness, anxiety, isolation and loneliness. I had no school friends and in fact could not tell you a single person's name from school. But I remember Miss Clark for what I now realise, nearly 30 years, to be an empathy for the way I felt. I remember one particular day the whole class was engaging in an activity involving making papier-mâché balloons. This involved dipping one's fingers into glue. I felt physically sick at the idea of doing this. Any other teacher, this being the relatively ignorant 80s on the subject of mental health, would no doubt berate me for being a silly little boy. Miss Clark, however, sensed my fear of the sticky hands, and she offered to dip my paper for me. I will never forget that one small act because it meant the absolute world to me. No belittlement. No expecting me to fit in with what she considered normal, but an understanding that I was different and an offer to embrace this and help me accomplish my goal. I still remember things like this with great fondness, And it warms my heart to know she, even back then, opened her mind and offered a degree of understanding of how my mind worked. Life can be tough when you're bombarded with an overload of the mind, trying to make sense of what can often be a chaotic thought process. But people like Miss Clark, I hope, were trendsetters, and the children of today have before them a much less traumatic and much more understanding future. So that's a small snippet. I hope you enjoy the book when it comes out. I'll keep you all updated. It's called I'm Sorry, I Have Autism, and it will be ready in paperback and ebook, hopefully by around about June time. Thanks again for watching my video. As ever, link to buy me a cup of coffee is in the description, and I'll speak to you all again really soon.